Before we talk about DeMoN's career, let's talk about yours. Do you want to kickstart your pro gaming journey? Esports gives you the perfect opportunity to showcase your skills. A new SEA Dota 2 tournament with $4,000 prize pool is on the horizon. Register now for free using the link in the description. Few Dota players have been able to stand the test of time. Fear was among the first to compete in Dota and won numerous tournaments for over a decade. Puppy is an international celebrity who continues to compete at the highest level. Kuroki is now a TI winner and is among the most loved Dota personalities on the scene. But there is a common factor between these three people and Dota 1, and that is Jimmy DeMoN Ho.
Hey, my name is Jimmy DeMoN Ho. I'm a former Dota 2 professional player.
DeMoN's Dota 1 career is full of top-tier teams and celebrated teammates.
Playing alongside with Merlini, Fear, Puppy, and Kuroki. It was like it had a lot of ups and downs, but at the time, knowing like we were like one of the best teams in the world was like a very gratifying feeling.
Fear, Merlini, and him were like a famous boy band that played a genre of music that was unheard of and lethal. During this time, DeMoN was able to build a name for himself in the North American scene and registered multiple victories. They were amongst the best in the world.
I looked up to one of the person that's like, he was amazing back then, which was Merlini. He was like one of the best players in the world at the time. And I had strong aspirations to be like him, mimic everything that he did, and eventually be better.
With Dota 2 on the horizon, Jimmy began practice for the International 2011. Playing in Meet Your Makers, they eventually came fourth and took home $80,000.
At the time, we were the best team. Alongside with Navi, we were like toe-to-toe with them. Us and Navi actually decided not to play against each other because we knew the stars aligned and we would end up meeting each other in the finals. And we felt more confident than them because at the time we were playing these online leagues and it was Dota 1, not Dota 2. And we would beat them. And that's why our confidence was like very high. And we felt like, we did multiple interviews and as we were kind of cocky too. Like we felt like, there was Gosu Gamers at the time and MYM, like our team, and we were voted like we were gonna for sure like win this tournament. Like it was like a fan vote, pro players, pro teams, like everyone kind of thought like we were the best, and ego was building up and it kind of got to our head. So funny story that I don't know if I should really be saying this, but I guess it doesn't really matter because it's been such a long time now. But we were playing our games like high. We were that was our practice. Like that's how we would practice, and that's how bad the mentality and mindset that we had, because we were all so young, naive, ignorant, with our egos it was just too high. And if we just toned it down a little bit, we think we could have done something great at TI1 and probably could have even won it.
Pig on DeMoN! DeMoN is out of this battle, so is BLT for the moment, but they redo it again! Puck is gone! So is Misery! So is going to be SK, because BLT is just shooking him down! And even then, BLT's got the GG!
MYM were among the top teams in the world that participated, but clearly the loss took its toll. On August 28th, NA's Pride and a gem of a roster, MYM, disbanded. They left a legacy of dynamic gameplay and all eyes were set on where the players would go. DeMoN was in luck when his Dota 1 team Evil Geniuses brought him back to the fold and paired him up with his former 2009 teammate and legend, Fear.
And everyone would talk about how legendary this guy was, and I had a team already and I scrimmed against him and I didn't think he was that good, and everyone was just like hyping him up like you don't know the legend Fear, and like I was like, dude, like I was like this cocky 14-15-year-old, and I don't know, I think like a year or two later we somehow became teammates. And I have to say, like, from my experience back then to even today, it's like nothing's really changed. He's like one of my best friends in real life, and I can't say that a lot in like within the Dota world. It's just like you have your real life friends and you have your Dota friends, and he's actually the best teammate I've ever had and one of the best captains.
And Bulba and Universe joining in May 2012.
So Bulba and Universe were at the time playing with like it's Gosu, the fake IG at the time. They called them. Bulba, I think, was very apprehensive about like playing with the pro team with big names and everything. He was, I mean, aside from me, because he was like, I've known you forever, but playing with Jacob and Fear with like established backgrounds. It's like, I mean, for me it was kind of the same, but he knew me for a while.
Wow, Jimmy, what the hell was that? You played so well. And sometimes like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Why the fuck are we chasing their TI tier 4? And the best thing was like, I was like, what are you doing, Jimmy? And the MVP game was like, relax, it's my birthday, let me have fun. And it was just a playing day. Who says this, dude?
Universe was just like down just to play, but and when they came aboard, team was interesting, the dynamic. I forgot the kind of joke we made. It was like, I don't know, 2 Indians, 2 white guys, and an Asian or something.
The same month, they were invited to their biggest test, the International 2012. Their journey in the group stages was impressive, but their bracket run, however, was not as kind, as they went down to the tournament winners Invictus and Tongfu.
So like at TI2, we were able to, we took this more serious because of our lesson learned the first time around with like at least me and Jacob. I feel like I said, a lot of people don't know like all these background stories of like what happened. It was about a 7-week, maybe almost a 2-month boot camp. One of the days, on Skype, we're like, yo, Jacob, are you coming to the boot camp? Because on the weekends or like one day out of the week, he would like go back home to, to be with his girlfriend or whatever. Like that was completely fine, a day off during the week. And she messaged on Skype and she said, I knew it wasn't Jacob because of like the English was different. Jacob types a certain way, and I was like, oh, this is his girlfriend. Jacob just kind of collapsed and he's getting rushed to the ER right now, or hospital. Yeah, basically he kind of had like a heart issue because I mean his diet was not really great either. Jacob would eat a lot of candy and soda throughout the day. That's pretty much his diet, and having like one meal. And they installed a pacemaker, and the way that they had to, and because they had to see his heart rate, to see kind of what's going on, and the way that they had to install it was through his anus. It's a story to tell now because it's kind of like it's been such a long time. I hope if this gets released, he doesn't get too mad about it. But he was in the hospital for I don't even know how long. We had to use a stand-in for like the duration of our time during boot camp. He finally comes back. He wasn't recovered 100%. They gave him like this is the best part. They gave him a special pillow to sit on because like his was like kind of like hurting. It was like a super comfy. I was like, dude, this pillow was so soft and comfy, man. And I was like, dude, it's like I sit on it all day, man.
A roster change was inbound, and it led to Jo and Beedis replacing Bulba and Universe. Whether it was the roster change or the jolt of losing, we don't know, but EG was not the same anymore. DeMoN and co seem revitalized, winning a number of tournaments and plenty of respectable second place finishes, but there was an infamous reputation building about him.
Okay, so a classic Jimmy is when the absolute worst thing in-game happens. When you're winning by 20,000 gold and then you just somehow lose the game, you've pulled a classic Jimmy.
So I had the experience firsthand with playing with Jimmy. He does his little classic Jimmy move, which is basically he turns the game, what you're winning, maybe into a throw or maybe into an even bigger lead.
While the memes poured in, luck didn't. September 19th, 2013. After 2 years of grinding for EG, it was time for Jimmy to get released.
So I had a call with Cody Connors, which was our manager at the time, Jacob, and Fear. Fear was just kind of there. He didn't really have much to say because I think it was probably like pretty hard for him as well. It was end of July and TI3 was in August, and I thought they wanted me to go to TI with Fear and to help recruit a new team and build a new team together. I said, okay. So I thought that's what the call was about, and I think Jacob or Cody kind of opens up saying like, hey, I don't really know how to tell you this, or I don't really know how to like, it's kind of hard. And I was like, what's up? And I think I kind of made a joke where saying like, am I getting kicked or something? And then it was just like an awkward silence, and they still wanted to keep me part of the organization as a streamer, and they'd still be paying me everything. And I told them like, hey, like, I understand. I was completely shattered. I was broken, honestly. And I was like, wow. Like from there, it's like I was like, like screw this, like fuck this shit, like I'm out. I don't want to be part of this. It has nothing to do with the organization. I wanted to do something on my own from there on out, and to kind of like prove myself like that I can still do this, and I can do this without him. and I always relied on Fear for a lot of like the flaws that I had as a player.
From experimenting with his own team, Take 5, to going to Dignitas, to ending up with no prospects in North America or Europe, the road was harsh. He ended up in South Korea, where he played for MVP Phoenix.
At the time, I kind of got asked multiple times. March was like a good former teammate because he used to live in Canada back in like Nirvana days. So I played with them for a bit. He was in NA for quite some time. We were like pretty good friends, and he basically told me there's a big tournament out there. It was $80,000. It's a sponsorship tournament, and at the time, it's like money like that was just like it was rare to really come by because there was only like usually like a couple $1,000s only, but like 80,000 was like an insane amount.
2014 began with DeMoN finding success in showing skill and ability as a stand-in for several teams. He found himself playing support, something he had never done competitively. Nevertheless, it was enough for Team Liquid to make him permanent. Around the same time, he received a personal sponsorship from Red Bull.
We played at a Monster Energy invitational event, and what really caught their attention was because it was a Monster Energy event. I actually tagged myself with Red Bull. Like, you know, it's like c9.demon / like Red Bull. You know, it was kind of like controversial. It was like, why is he doing that? It's been sponsored and so forth, but and it's at it's like disrespectful because it's a Monster Energy event. I tweeted out to Red Bull, and then they sent me a DM to let's talk after this tournament's over. And from there, I got in contact with them, and it kind of developed from there. I ended up having like a 2-year personal sponsorship with them.
As TI4 came around, Team Liquid didn't find much success. They faltered at the regional qualifiers too. They did win a spot in the wildcard series, but no one would be placing any bets on them. Jimmy was shifted to offlane with the hopes of revitalization. Now, whether it was the role change or it was the sheer hate that they were receiving driving them, we don't know. But Team Liquid came together and they delivered.
They had a lot of sides to the team, a lot of enemies in the team. But the fact that I think we're able to beat like all the top teams, all the Chinese teams that people struggled with, and it was just like, I think that like each of those wins just felt as good as the first.
However, Jimmy's future wasn't looking too bright. 2015 was largely unsuccessful due to roster disbands and failure to qualify for multiple tournaments. As TI6 approached, it was announced that Jimmy was going to Peru to team up with Infamous, but instead he ended up joining TNC, and that's where the momentary magic in his career started.
The funny background story is like I'm kind of glad it happened the way that it did, but they booked me the most ridiculous flight to go to Peru, which was about like a 28 hour travel time, and I told them like, hey, like this is absolutely ridiculous because you guys are trying to save a couple $100. I am not taking this flight. Like, this is like absurd. I've been playing competitive Dota for like such a long time with sponsorships, with crazy sponsorships, like from low value ones to like, you know, the top tier organizations, and I've never had a flight like this. This is absolutely ridiculous with the amount of layovers. And so then at that time, TNC reached back out to me and was like, hey, are you still interested? You know, there's the bad side and the good side of the Philippines. They don't know what, like, I don't know anything about TNC. I had no idea who any of the players were, the management. I had no information whatsoever. So that's kind of like sketch, just like for them to kind of like book me a flight. You know, a lot of red flags kind of came up, like, who are these guys? Like, how do they have this money and so. And in the end, it kind of like, I kind of just accepted the offer, and I said, can I see the itinerary because of what Infamous kind of pulled out on me. They're like, just pick your flight, just book it yourself, and when you get here, we will reimburse you. And I was like, I wonder if that's going to happen, but what's the worst that can happen? And, you know, I did, and it all happened because like I just direct messaged them on Twitter. And
Jimmy's journey with TNC was off to a rough start as they struggled with the first SEA Open qualifier. But in the second one, Jimmy brought an entirely new TNC that swept right through it and the regional qualifiers. At the event, they created the biggest upset seen in the history of Dota 2, defeating OG in the bracket.
This was the team that was expected to win TI, but for myself, I felt confident. I felt good. I felt so good because the fact that MVP was able to 2-1 them in the upper bracket, and I was like, you know, I was like, how many times have we beaten MVP? Like, we played about 30, 35 games, and they've only beaten us like 4 times. And it's not that they're a bad team. We're just that much better.
TNC done the impossible. Two-time major winners. You are gone. The Filipinos have eliminated OG. TNC have done it. The dream, the reality.
And if they're able to 2-1 them, I kept reminding them that we will 2-0 them. Like, we will beat this team. This team is like, this team is cocky, and I just kept reminding them. And I want us to be good. I want us to fulfill, like, to be cocky as well. I want us to, play like. I just honestly kept reminding them that we will 2-0 them and we will beat this team. But when you're playing on stage, I think everything changes for this young team. And I've had that experience, but nothing like this absurd. I've never got to play in front of like 10,000 people, but I've had a lot of experience with playing in front of crowds already.
Jimmy experienced moments of glory that everyone in the competitive scene strives for, but few get. Unfortunately, Jimmy couldn't recreate that magic. He went back to Fnatic, but failed to really make it count. He returned to North America, but failed to bring any magic from TNC back there. Unfortunately for Jimmy, his woes didn't end here. He returned to SEA to play for Team Admiral, and things went south.
Jimmy's a traitor, like he's a backstabber, basically get the fuck out of the house. I just know it's like a respect thing when it comes to like managers and so forth. And it felt more of a threat than anything. And I was like scared for my life. I'm the one paying your salary, like I'm gonna slam you with the fucking chair. Absurd. Like what am I getting myself into?
But then this video is already nearing the 20-minute mark, so I guess we're gonna cut this short over here, and we will continue the story in part number 2, where Jimmy talks in detail about what went down in Team Admiral. Subscribe if you wanna know more. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
I think the girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their nails done.